Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I don't really know. I don't
Hmm.
really know about that. Um, but we all know that I'm with ESPN Top Rank, so I doubt that would happen or
Hmm.
anything like that. So I think it would pretty much have to be on ESPN. Um, but if it's I don't see myself really if George Kambosos won it because we still got to look at him to see if he actually wants the second fight. But if I don't fight him, I don't think I would be fighting at 135 any longer probably
Mm.
because we just got to see because if he wants to fight, then I would probably have to vacate because it is a rematch clause, so you can't go fight another fight at 135 if he wants to fight. So we just got to see.
That's good, family. So smash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. So we got some more breaking news right now. And we just heard there from your mans, Devin. I gotta think of a new name for Dev still, because it was about to be Devin No Power having Haney, but listen, he give George Bumbosus all the power he could handle. Yeah? Bumbosus ain't want no more. Feel sorry for himself having asked Nick. But anyway, like I was saying, got some breaking news from Dev. We just heard there from Dev. Dev come through, and I can't lie to you. He said some things that are a bit leave it in my opinion. He said that if George Bumbosus doesn't trigger the rematch clause, then he's gonna check. He's gonna dip. He don't wanna hang around at 135 now. On the grapevine, your man the YB did hear Dev weighed in 155 pounds. That is a big dude. And to be honest, I don't know what I was thinking. When the fight was about to start, yeah, I noticed that. And Dev even said after the fight he couldn't believe it almost felt like he was a weight division above. Now I heard about the 155 thing, and I thought, no, that's cap. But thinking about it now, adding everything in, now that Dev's saying he's too big for the weight and whatnot, and if he don't get the Bumbosus rematch, or if Bumbosus don't want the rematch, he gonna move up. Things are starting to add up now. And I do wish, like I was about to say, I do wish I put more coin on because I noticed that as well. Subconsciously, Dev has this crazy V taper. His shoulders just wham, got this crazy V taper, and he just looked full. Yeah, like a real bull. Yeah, that's what he looked like. Proper bull. He keep Bumbosis that USA bulletin. Good old seeing too. But listen, we heard that from Dev. Dev says, I'm too big for 135. I'm fixing to move up if Bumbosus doesn't trigger the rematch clause. What do I think about this? Oh, yeah, and also Dev says, if I do move up, no one can blame me because I've got all the belts. This for me was a bit dead. Initially on the night, and I guess things can move on, but initially on the night, he was saying, you know, I want all the best ones at 135. And that's what I assume was the plan. The plan was take out all the best cats at 135. Now it's moved to 140. Now who's at 140? No one really. Josh Taylor, he washed what? And Josh Taylor washed Taylor. Yeah, Mr. Washed Taylor. Listen, I don't want to see no more from Washed Taylor. Yeah, Mr. Washed Taylor. He already got his ass whooped by um Jack Casserole. Yeah, in my opinion, Jack Casserole is a much lesser boxer, a much less attribute boxer as well. As in, Dev's longer, I feel. But then again, Casserole is 140, so he might be just as tall and as long as Dev. I'm not sure. He's not as athletic though. He does, even though he pulled off a slick performance against Wash Taylor, he still looked a bit robotic for me. I mean, we need to see really what Casserole does from this point. We've only seen him have. Yeah, I mean, I give it to him. He had a decent fight. He fought out of his skin against Washed Taylor, but to some extent, Washed Taylor in that fight performed the same way as the other dude who came running forward. In fact, who was the other dude who came running forward? I'm not sure. Anyway, forget it. Oh, yeah, Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor performed very, very similar. Yeah, Teofimo came running forward against Bumbosus, and Josh Taylor came running forward against Jack Casserole. So you can't really, like, again, look at Bumbosus. Everyone thought, oh, Bumbosus is the best thing since sliced bread, based on fighting the worst version of someone. Casserole fought the worst version of Wash Taylor, so we won't really know how good he is until afterwards. But anyway, I've spent a whole bag of time talking about irrelevant crap. Let's focus on the king, because I'm going to call him the king. The king, Dev Haney, he's the one who went out of his way, took all the risk, and went to Oz. And you best believe your man know I'll be backing him. Backed him all the way. Yeah? Your man know I'll be no boxing. That's what he does know. Yeah, 100%. But listen, he say he don't want to hang around at 135. He too big. Now, I do hear that. But my issue is we haven't heard that until now. It's kind of like, not sure about that one. Again, if you're too big, you're too big. But I just haven't heard that one before. It's not like we've been hearing, oh, I'm too big for 135. This for me is the first time I've heard about it. And also, Dev did say, to his credit, or to some credit, for the first time he used a nutritionist, and that nutritionist had him down pat. So I'm thinking, if your nutritionist has you down pat, why are you saying you want to move up to 140? It's all a bit contradictory. And really, these are the best fights now. And I do feel, I mean, you might know me. I was one of the relatively few people backing Haney. Not few people, but there were some key dons in the industry who was backing Bombosas. Quite Paulie Malignaggi, Teddy Atlas, quite a few man was backing Bombosas. Quite a few man was gassed off the fight against Tuicafimo Lopez. Yeah? So I'm not, you might know me, I'm Team Haney. I've been Team Haney, and them coins went in on Team Haney, you best believe it. But equally, you might know me, I don't shill for no one. I don't care who you are. And on that basis, yeah, I mean, Dev says, oh, no one can blame me for moving up. I've done it all, I'm undisputed. But really, I don't count Dev as undisputed. Yes, he has 4 belts, but for me, you might know me. I don't score, for example, I don't score fights like everyone else does. Everyone else scores fights round by round. I score fights, I'll tell you who won at the end. How about that? I don't believe in this round scoring BS. I look at the fight holistically. Now, in the same breath, I don't count undisputed as traditional undisputed. I count undisputed as you've beat all the best ones, and it's clear. Now, Devin Haney's implying that he's almost done that. Oh, no one can blame me for moving up. I've taken out all the best. Bombosas was, anyone who knows boxing knows that Bombosas was skeptical at best, or how good Bombosas was skeptical. That's the bottom line. He didn't look that good against Mickey Bay. He didn't look that good against Lee Selby. He didn't look that good against Tuicafimo Lopez. Don't forget, that was a split decision, people. He didn't blow Tuicafimo out in a few rounds. It was a split decision. So, to beat a man before before Bombosas beat Tuicafimo, he was a C fighter. People wouldn't have put him in the top 10. And I'm sorry, but I don't think much has changed. Yes, he had a relatively great win against Tuicafimo, the worst type of Tuicafimo Lopez. So you beat the worst version of a man. Not Bombosas' fault, but that's just the facts. The facts are, you beat the worst version of a man, and all of a sudden, people have taken him from a top 20 fighter. I'd say Bombosas is top 15. So you don't go from top 15 to top 1 in one fight. Especially when your next fight, as we saw, he looked pretty standard. So I'm sorry, Dev. Yes, you've done. Yes, you get match respect in some regards, but in regards to moving up and off and on, you ain't ticked that box yet. You haven't got that right to sit there and say you've done it. You haven't done it, I'm afraid. Can you do it? I think you can. And that's the thing, these fights are easy. Dev said, oh, I don't want to fight Ryan because he's just a money fight. Well, listen, man, stay there and dominate. Even if not Ryan. Tank, obvious. Who have we got, actually? Tank. I mean, Dev's already said he don't really want to fight Shakur. I mean, I'm not bothered. I think that fight wouldn't be... Yeah, it'd be intriguing from a boxing point of view. That would almost be like Floyd versus Floyd in that sense. We never really got to see Floyd fight someone in his prime who's similar skill level to him. It was always Floyd versus the brawler. So on that respect, from a pure boxing point of view, it's intriguing. But outside of that, it's not an exciting fight. But I think Dev really tanks the fight, isn't it? Who else is Dev? Tank, Ryan... Yeah, it's Tank or even Tuicafimo, but Tuicafimo is moving up. So yeah, really, if Dev beats Tank, then that's it. One fight, you should stay. Stay and try, at least try and fight Tank. Yeah, stay, and if, for all we know, you know what Tank's like, for all we know, Tank gonna play some weird funny ass game. Oh, I can't, can't fight, I gotta fight a bum instead. Oh, I gotta fight some random dude I've never heard of. Oh, I gotta fight some random dude out of the Mayweather Las Vegas gym, like Bummy Bumero. Rolando, yeah? Rolando Bumero. That's what Tank probably gonna do anyway. And you man know me that I count someone having a KO win over them if you approach the fight and want the contract and they don't sign. So for all we know, yeah, Devin Haney gonna send Tank Davis a contract, and he gonna flap, and he gonna try and sign to fight some random bum instead, in true Tank style. In which case, at that point, Devin Haney can say, "Listen, I've beat Bumbosus, I've beat Tank, so be it." But at least do that. At least put it on Tank, in my opinion. Because if you beat Tank genuinely in the ring, then yeah, I can say if Dev beats Tank Davis in the ring, he's the king of 135. That is for me true undisputed. At the moment, no one can sit there and tell me they know 100% sure who's going to win out of Tank and Dev. I hate to say it, but I'd actually give Tank. Although, yeah, well, Dev's proven though. Dev's proven he can adapt. Dev's proven he gets better as well. Dev looked the worst he has against Jojo Diaz and the other guy. I forgot the guy's name. The 135 guy who wobbled him. Dev came out and put on almost a Floyd-esque performance. What made Floyd great was he would rise to the challenge and take away their best elements. Yeah, George Kambosos loves to run in and just counterpunch and punch with you. Dev completely nullified that, and I wasn't sure he was going to be able to do that. So he's proven, for all we know, and Dev's got a very smart and intelligent team. For all we know, him and his team are going to go away and break Tank down intellectually the same way they broke down George Kambosos. Now, Tank Davis is a complete different level. Tank Davis is dynamic in himself, so it won't be as simple as, in my opinion, George Kambosos is a pretty straight up and down fighter. He tries the same thing again and again. He only has one thing. He can only punch with you, that's it. If you don't punch and you don't stand there with your chin in the air like Teofimo did, Teofimo would jump in, throw a big combination, and stand there with your chin in the air. If you don't do that, Kambosos has no answers, as we saw. Tank Davis, he can properly counterpunch. He can time people. He can come on the front foot. Don't forget, when Floyd told Tank, "You're down on points," Tank can literally put his guard up and just start moshing forward. For all we know, Dev might be winning for 6 rounds, yeah, and Floyd told Tank, "You're losing," and Tank will just start ploughing forward. So Tank does have a dynamic game. Hence, that's what I'm saying. Dev's not undisputed for me. He has 4 belts. I can't say he's the best at 135. That's not his fault, though. For all we know, Tank gonna duck, as he's always ducked everyone who's decent. Oh yeah, I forgot someone. Lomachenko. That's another fight there. Especially, don't forget people, a lot of the fangirls got gassed off Loma. So that might be a scalp you want to take for your legacy. Don't forget as well, I don't even really, to be honest, sounds bad, but I don't even really count what Teofimo did with Loma. That wasn't, it sounds bad, but that wasn't the best Loma. That was a Loma who was clearly impaired. And in fact, the last 5 rounds, Loma gave Teo the hands. I actually expected Loma to beat Teo in the rematch. So I don't even really count that. This Loma who comes back now is going to be serious because he's lost now. Yeah, he lost to Salido, but that don't count. The real Lomachenko only just lost to Teo, and he was on it. He was chomping at the bit to get the rematch against Teo. So that'll be if Dev beats Loma, that's a 10 out of 10 win. So will Tank. Those are the 2 fights for me. In my opinion, rematch clauses, I get it. Dev's got all the power. If I was Dev, I'd say, listen, I've got all the power, no rematch clauses. Because the minute you have rematch clauses, that's when it starts taking so much time. It takes 18 months to do to fight one person. So if Dev wants to move up, no rematch clause. I fight Tank, I fight Loma. That's what I'd like to see him fight. But really, if he beats Tank, that'll do for me. I think Tank does Lomachenko anyway. So Tank's a real one. But both will be ideal. At 140, what big legacy names are there at 140? It's kind of thin up there. That's why I say he should focus on 135 for 2 fights at least. Because you're going up to 140, it's not like there's a whole bunch of money there either. And 147's treacherous as well. you don't want to be you can't even think about going to 147. They're way too big and strong. So you're rushing up for what? Rush up to 140 for what? Just to sit up there and fight bums, really. Take out Josh Taylor, who I don't think is no good anyway now. I think it's washed. And take out washed Taylor. What are you going to do up there? So sit back in the cut. Enjoy your thing. Don't forget as well, Dev already said he's got a new nutritionist guy. For all you know, You and your nutritionist are going to share information and you're going to get even better, which means that the cut will be even more efficient and your weight will be even more lower and whatnot. So stay at 135, man. Don't run up there. I think it'll be bad management running up there. Although, on weighing things, if he is, I mean, if you're killing yourself at the weight, it makes sense to move up. But until then, you know what to do. 100%. 135. Fight Tank, fight Loma. No doubt. And to be honest, someone like Ryan Garcia, he does factor into it. But that's why I hate boxing at the moment. These bums, yeah, need to be fighting each other. Yeah? I mean, why does Dev need to fight them all? Loma, Tank, Ryan, them man should have a little thing together. And I've been saying this for years, especially with Bomelo Alvarez. I've been saying to Bomelo, all the bums below you, yeah, get them to fight each other and you fight the winner. You shouldn't be going around fighting random dudes that don't have no name. But God knows, these guys are all poorly managed. All bad narratives, all bad management. It's all just messy. But the problem is, you see, in boxing today, Dons are making. You don't need no narrative. You don't need no management. You don't need no storyline. You can just put someone in there. I mean, George Gambota's just got put in there with Tio. No storyline, no nothing. And he's making 10, 12 million. You know what I'm saying? Beat one man and you're making 12 million. The whole lot's inflated out of the mind. Yeah? Ridiculous. Anyway, I'm out. 100%.